Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Story Time on Jailbait and Tackle Outdoors. This story took place 86, 87-ish. I'm just trying to remember. It was in that time period, mid 80s somewhere. Um, as I've told you before, that when I dispatched from Delaware State Police, which I was very proud of, I really enjoyed that. I was friends with a lot of different troopers. Um, and there was one trooper I became very close with. I mentioned him before, um, Corporal Rhodes, and he was formerly an Army Ranger. He was very uh, disciplined, very uh, structured. Didn't really go out partying with the guys on shift parties and stuff like that. He was just all business, and but he and I had a good bond because I knew what he was doing on the interstate. He was doing a lot of drug intervention, and he didn't drink alcohol or anything like that. But he was very strict on like DUI patrol and stuff like that. So on this one particular evening, um, I guess it doesn't matter what day of the week it was, but approximately like 3 a.m. ish, um, he pulls someone over, and for a traffic violation, it turns out that it's going to be a DUI arrest, which in the Delaware State Police terminology with the codes and whatnot, would be called a 4177. 4177 represents a driving under the influence, a impaired driver, obviously. So he's on Interstate 495. He's on the right shoulder, and he is waiting for a tow truck to arrive. And his shift sergeant, a guy named Sergeant McNesby, uh, shows up at the traffic stop and relieves Corporal Rhodes and tells him, just go ahead and take him back to the troop. I'll wait for uh, the tow truck. I forget what the code for tow truck, 1043 or I forget what it was. But so he tells him he's going to wait for he's like, are you sure, Sergeant? I can wait. He's like, no. He's like, go ahead and, take the guy back, get him, to go through the protocol, the procedure and everything. So Corporal Rhodes leaves, and about 5 minutes later, a tractor trailer rear ends Sergeant McNesby. I don't remember if the tractor trailer driver was impaired or fell asleep, but he hit Sergeant McNesby's parked state police cruiser, probably 60 or 65 miles an hour or something like that. I don't remember the exact speed. I'm just can only surmise, what the minimum speed probably was. So you can imagine the kind of impact that would have had. I was not on the radio. The main frequency is called high band. We had a female. I was a dispatch supervisor. I was on that shift when this occurred, and the female dispatcher became very emotional, very how can I say this delicately? Um, she was losing her poise. I guess that's probably the most polite way I can say it. And so what was transpiring during this, a trucker reaches into the cruiser, grabs the radio. This is pretty difficult. Grabs the radio and is communicating that troopers just been seriously injured in a vehicular accident. We did not know at the time what trooper it was, where it was. The trucker did an outstanding job communicating the facts, the information, and he also relayed that the trooper was ejected through the windshield and is laying on the side of the road and screaming for his life. You could hear that. You could clearly hear that while he was transmitting to the dispatch center. This young lady was panicking and was not poised, which was not helping the situation. So I don't like doing things like this. I've never done it prior or since, but I relieved her from her duties on the main frequency there, and then I took over, and we were able to coordinate things. And what transpired afterwards was just nothing short of a miracle. The Wilmington City Police, they set up roadblocks on the direct route to the Wilmington Hospital. Once the paramedics got there, it was a very life-threatening situation. It was expected Sergeant McNesby might lose his life. They got him to the hospital. He did not perish. He did survive. He was permanently disabled. Could eventually, when he did recuperate, could not lift his right arm even to a 90-degree angle. He did survive. Miraculously, I don't know how you can hit by a tractor trailer and live, but it was something. I'll never forget that death cry from that trooper. He was probably 50 yards away in the grass, screaming for his life. And that one trucker was very poised and did an outstanding job. So it's just, you just never know when your number's going to be called. That could have been Corporal Rhodes. Corporal Rhodes was in the SWAT team, did a lot of amazing things. Sergeant McNesby was, I think, about a year away from retirement, and then that happened. So in an instance, your life can be changed, and you just never know when it's going to be, and it's crazy. That could have been Corporal Rhodes. It was literally just a minutes away situation where Corporal Rhodes could have possibly been taken out. It's like, or Sergeant, McNesby, he could have also perished. It was just a bad situation. And I will try and come around. There is a Corporal Rhodes story I do want to share. When he was in the SWAT team, he did have to take a life. I know where it occurred. I just don't remember all the details. I don't know if the qualities, the content would be worthy, but he was a really good dude. I liked him. Even though we were ran in different circles, there was a mutual respect for each other. He knew I was always looking out for the troopers, and like I said before, he and I presented it to him about certain codes or certain lingo we could use when he was running some information on people on the interstate. I knew why he was out there. He was doing the drug intervention, and so I had a way of doing deeper research, and I could tip him off, to give him some clues, like, hey, basically it was pretty much like, hey, I forget, I told you before, I made up some code name before when I talked about this on video, like Zebra or whatever. that means like, you might want to look a little deeper or whatever. But anyway, so that's it. That's Storytime episode 102. I know the law enforcement story times do not get much views, and that's disturbing to me. But I really respected my time and enjoyed my time in dispatcher for the Delaware State Police. And I wish more people would really give those stories some views. You just never know when you're going to need the popo. And so that's it, folks. Respect the thin blue line, and remember, like I always say, know your legal limits. And if you can, buy a police officer a cup of coffee. Peace out. Thank you.